Penguin Random House Audio presents The Wealth Ladder, Proven Strategies for Every Step of Your Financial Life. This is the author, Nick Maggiulli. To my father, for teaching me the game. Don't move until you see it. Introduction. When I was 5 years old, my father taught me how to play chess. For fun, he'd invite his friends over and have them challenge me to a game. They were always shocked when I won. Picture it, you're 27 years old, and a kindergartner just crushed your self-esteem with a single word. Checkmate. Jokes aside, I wasn't a future chess prodigy. My father's friends were simply terrible at the game. I stopped playing chess a few years later when my parents split up, and didn't pick it up again until my junior year of high school. I found a renewed interest in the game after playing against a friend, and we decided to start a chess club. To improve my skills, I spent hours studying openings and the best ways to respond to them. My first 5 to 10 moves in a game were often automatic, pulled from memory. My strategy worked, and I got better. But it wasn't until I entered my first real chess competition that I learned an unforgettable lesson. When amateurs learn chess, many of them do the same things I did. They memorize openings and hope that their opponent makes a mistake along the way. They win based on good initial positioning and by avoiding simple blunders. But Victor, one of the star players in my first chess competition, was different. He didn't play chess like an amateur. Sometimes, Victor would start a game with a traditional opening, and sometimes he wouldn't. He'd accept a gambit, the sacrifice of a piece, with one opponent, but completely ignore it with another. It was like he wasn't playing the same game as the rest of us. Here's the puzzling part, though. No matter how much I watched him play, I couldn't figure out how he did it. I had no frame of reference for his decision-making. You'd think that if I kept practicing, I'd eventually be able to compete with Victor, but you'd be wrong. I could not simply take my approach of going through chess openings, do it for hundreds of additional hours, and get to his skill level. My strategy plus time did not equal Victor. No, what I really needed was to find a different way to play chess altogether. This is the lesson Victor taught me. Sometimes effort alone doesn't determine your results. How and where you apply that effort does. Years later, I realized that the same thing is true when it comes to building wealth. Having the wrong framework when trying to get ahead financially can leave you spinning your wheels with little to show for it. Many people try to fix this by working more hours or following the latest financial advice, but they still don't see a big change. Then, they attribute their lack of success to their work ethic, their boss, or bad luck, when their problem has been their approach all along. They're trying to memorize openings while the victors of the world pass them by. As Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel, once said, "There are so many people working so hard and achieving so little." Their problem isn't effort, it's strategy. But what if there was a better way? What if there was a new framework for understanding how to build wealth? One that actually worked. Not a get-rich-quick scheme or a one-size-fits-all solution to your money problems, but a new philosophy for thinking about money altogether. What if this system didn't tell you what to do, but taught you how to think about your finances? Telling people what to do works fine when they face the same problem again and again. But this approach doesn't work with money and wealth, where things are constantly in flux. Interest rates change, our careers change, and our desires change. So why should our strategy for building wealth stay the same? It shouldn't. Instead, a better approach would be to have a solid framework to rely upon throughout our long and varied lives. That framework is what I call the wealth ladder. If I gave you $100, would that change your life? How about $100,000? What about $100 million? Your answer will depend upon a variety of factors, but most importantly, how much money you have today. For most people, $100 million would fundamentally transform their lifestyle. But for someone like Jeff Bezos, $100 million wouldn't even register. This simple observation has profound implications for understanding wealth, and how our view of it can change as we acquire more of it. For the record, when I say wealth, I'm referring to your net worth, or your assets minus your liabilities. That is everything you own, property, financial assets, cash, etc., minus everything that you owe to others, mortgage, student loans, credit card debt, etc. The problem is, we've been looking at wealth in the wrong way. We've assumed that more wealth is better, and that it can solve all our problems. We've also assumed that more wealth means more personal consumption. Unfortunately, this is only true in the extremes. The person with $100,000 can afford a lifestyle that is quite different from the person with only $1,000. However, the person with $500,000 lives nearly identically to the person with $400,000. Though these two people are separated by $100,000, they likely shop at similar stores, drive similar cars, and live in similar homes. In this sense, our enjoyment of wealth isn't something that goes up with every additional dollar or $1,000 we get, but something that increases in steps. In this sense, wealth isn't a straight line, it's a ladder. And each rung of this ladder corresponds with a wealth level that will impact nearly every facet of your financial life. From how you spend money, to how you earn it and how you invest it. Each level of the wealth ladder is unique. What are these wealth levels? Level 1, less than $10,000. Level 2, $10,000 to $100,000. Level 3, $100,000 to $1 million. Level 4, $1 million to $10 million. Level 5, $10 million to $100 million. Level 6, over $100 million. The levels are separated by a factor of 10 because this corresponds with the increase in wealth needed to create a large lifestyle change. You can see these wealth levels with their respective net worth ranges in Image 1 in your PDF. For example, Level 1 is for those with a net worth less than $10,000. Level 2 is for those with a net worth of $10,000 to $100,000, and so on. From this, we can infer that each level up the wealth ladder is exponentially more difficult to reach than the one before it. This explains why the number of people around the world in each level tends to get smaller as we go further up the ladder. Please refer to Image 2 in your PDF, which is a breakdown of the percentage of people in each wealth level around the world and in the United States as of 2023. As you can see, the majority of people around the world fall in levels 1 to 2, with increasingly smaller groups of people in each level above that. There are roughly 1.5 billion adults in level 1, less than $10,000. But there are only about 30,000 adults in level 6, over $100 million. Given the amount of wealth concentrated in the United States, the distribution of people across the wealth ladder is shifted upward here. As a result, most households in the U.S. are in level 3, $100,000 to $1 million, not levels 1 to 2. Despite this upward shift, there are still far more households lower on the wealth ladder than higher. For example, there are 56 million U.S. households in level 3, but only about 10,000 U.S. households in level 6. Since such immense fortunes are
Sample complete. Ready to continue?